So today I'm going to talk about how we found out my 3-year-old at the time was anaphylactic to peanuts, eggs, and Benadryl. So when she was about 2 years old, we would make scrambled eggs and she'd have a little bit, but she would eat it, and I would notice that there'd be like a little red dot here or here or here, but that was it. Like, she was acting normal, eating normal. So when I saw that, I was like, maybe she's having a little reaction to something. So I'd wait like 5-6 months, and then I'd give her some eggs, and again, just a little, waited a couple more months. And because you just never know, is it the oil you use, is it butter, is it, and it wasn't like she acted different. So I didn't really think too much of it. It was just like, we're not going to give her that for a while and then reintroduce it. So she had turned 3, and literally 2 months after she turned 3 years old, my oldest daughter had gone to a sleepover, and they had made cookies, just the prepackaged refrigerated ones that you buy in the store. And she was kind enough, and she brought some home for the kids. And so I know it was her nap time, and my oldest had just gotten home, and she brought some cookies, and I let the kids have a little bit of cookie. And I remember my 3-year-old, eating a couple bites, and she was done. And I said, okay, time to wash up, time to go take a nap. Put her in her room, tucked her in, said, love you, and then closed the door and walked away, did something in the kitchen, walked by her room, and I heard her crying. And I opened the door. I'm like, what? Are you crying? And she said, yeah, it's itchy. And I'm like, what? And so she was pointing, she had a diaper at that time, to her diaper. So I go to open her diaper, and there's hives, and it's all red where her diaper is. So being a mom, this is kid number 4, I'm thinking, okay, well, the diaper brand must have changed one of their ingredients, and she's having a reaction to it. So we go to take the diaper off, and I go to show my husband, because of COVID, he was working at home. And so I noticed that the rash had progressed slowly up to her chest and was getting, progressively worse. And so my husband, like, we need to give her Benadryl. We had never given her Benadryl before. So she literally didn't even take like I don't even know. I wouldn't even call it a sip. So we filled up the cup. She just put a little bit, and immediately was like, and we're like, okay, she just doesn't like it. Kids do that with medicine. Get it? But then, like, literally half a second later, she throws up. And then her rash gets worse. And then her voice gets raspy. So I'm taking her in the shower, I'm washing her off, and I tell my husband, call 911. So I'm cleaning her up, getting a diaper on, because now we know it's not the diaper. There's more to it. And the EMT comes in. There's about like 5 guys. They come in, and they're checking her out. They're like, her oxygen level looks good. Her vitals, everything looks good. Just keep giving her, give her some Benadryl. And we explained, when we gave it to her, that's the first time she ever had it, this is what happened. And they said, we'll give her a little bit. So we gave, again, not even a sip. I don't even know what you would call it. I mean, just a little bit on the tongue, I guess. I don't know. She throws up again. And it gets worse. But they're there. They're checking her vitals. They're like, she's fine. I'm like, okay, well, you don't just throw up. So they're thinking it's a reaction to what she had eaten. So it just so happens that we had a doctor's appointment. Like, at this time, we had 15 minutes to get to this doctor appointment, because I had just given birth to baby number 5 2 months prior. So this was the baby's 2-month doctor's appointment. And he says, you know what, just go take her into your doctor's and have her check her out. And she's got like, she can do Benadryl through like a needle or something. I don't know. So I was like, okay. So we load up, my 3-year-old, and my husband has a Benadryl, and they told us, the MT said, just keep trying to give it to her. And so I get in the car and I look at my husband and I said, do not give her any more Benadryl. I think she's having a reaction to that. And so he didn't. So we get to the doctor's office and they're like, no, she needs to go to the emergency room. I'm like, well, we're just doing what the EMTs told us. They told us just to come here. No, luckily our doctor's office was right next to like an ER. So we went next door to the ER, and because of the COVID protocols, it was still like only one parent with the child. So my husband said, I'll go in, because at this time I was emotional. Like, this is my 3-year-old, and my husband is really good at remaining calm during like crazy situations where I'm just emotional wreck, I'll be honest. And so he's like, just wait outside, I'll give you a call. So I'm sitting outside the ER room, ER building, I should say. And he goes in, they go in, he gives me a call. He's like, yeah, they gave her an EpiPen. She's doing like 95% better. Her highs are almost gone. She's like acting herself. So we should be leaving soon. Why don't you go ahead and go home, check on the baby and the kids, and make sure, everything's good, and I'll call you when we're done. Because it might be like another hour by the time they get discharge paper, whatever. So I guess sorry, this is still really hard after this was 3 years ago. Protocol is EpiPen and then Benadryl through the IV. And my husband explained to the lady, he said, listen, this is what happened. We know that's not what gave her first reaction, but we think that she might have a reaction to Benadryl. And my husband said it like 3 or 4 times to her. And she's like, oh, no, that doesn't happen, blah, blah, blah. This is protocol. She administered the Benadryl through the IV. And she stopped breathing. She turned limp. She was limp. She turned blue. And my husband said there was a code and like 20 people coming in the room trying to work on her. And I said, what did you do? And he said, the only thing I knew how to do was pray. And he said next thing he knew, she threw up. I mean, her throat was closed, but she threw up. And she came back to. And he said he still has, like, he still gets emotional just thinking about it. And I'm so thankful I wasn't there, because I can't, this is just what I heard from him. So they end up having to call an ambulance to take her to a children's hospital. We're so grateful that we don't live very far from a children's hospital. And the EMTs took him, and my husband explained the situation. And the EMT said, yeah, it sounds like she's anaphylactic to Benadryl. My husband's like, really? And he's like, yeah, it's rare, but, it can happen. We go to the children's hospital. They didn't really do a whole lot, because by then she had already gotten another EpiPen, and, she got a toy, whatever. And they're just like, okay, go see an allergist. Literally the next day, we get a call from the head doctor at the ER. And he called my husband. And he said, that was the scariest thing he's ever seen. And gave my husband his personal cell phone and said, if you have anything you want to talk about or whatever, just call me. And when you have an emergency doctor say that, That really is. I don't know. I'm so sorry. It's so hard. So we went to the allergist, and they did the skin prick. Nothing came up. So we're like, okay, maybe this is good. Then he did the blood panel, and the allergist said, you know, she is anaphylactic to peanuts and she's anaphylactic to eggs. And he said, I cannot test her for Benadryl because she's way too young. She has to be a lot older for me to test Benadryl. But he goes, from what your story is and how she had that reaction, he goes, I guarantee you she's anaphylactic to Benadryl. And he goes, I'm an allergist for 35 years, and she will be my third patient to be anaphylactic. So it's rare. I get it. But it can happen. It can happen. So there's been a lot of learning curves with being an allergy mom, and I'll post about what we've learned through this experience. And I can just tell you that we're so grateful that she's okay. And we know that not all parents are that fortunate, that things happen. And I wanted to share my story to help moms who have gone through it, who understand it, maybe new moms, and they see the little spots, just to kind of be like, oh, okay, let me keep an eye on that, or maybe I should let my doctor know that, or and to be careful with Benadryl too. Like, I know it's rare, but obviously it can happen. I would have never thought in a million years. Like, and every birthday that comes around, I get so emotional because I know it's a gift that she's here. And we've gotten 3 more years since that to be with her and to see her grow. And I know not all parents get that. And I know raising children's hard. But just love your children. Hug them. Because that could have been the last time that I was able to do that with her. And I'm so grateful that it's not. Just love your children. Hug them. Because you never know what tomorrow will bring.